Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome in a new video. Today we are going to discuss about the bacteria, particularly nutrition in bacteria and respiration in bacteria. So let's start with the definitions. Before we proceed, first of all, we should be well aware about the definition of nutrient. So we should keep in mind that nutrient is the food or any substance that supplies the body with element necessary for metabolism. All the chemical activities which are taking place in the body of living organism, they are collectively known as metabolism. So in order to maintain the metabolism, we must have certain elements. So anything which provide our bodies with these elements, they are collectively known as nutrient. There are two types of nutrients in the bodies of living organism. Certain nutrients, for example carbohydrates, fats and protein, and it may be nucleic acid as well, they provide energy to the body. But remember one thing, there are certain other elements which are nutrient but they do not provide the energy to the body. For example, water, electrolyte, mineral and vitamins. These are also nutrients because they are essential in order to maintain the metabolism of the body, but they do not provide any energy to the body. So now we have to define what in fact the nutrition is. The sum total of all the process involved in the taking in and utilization of element by which growth, repair and maintenance of activities in an organism are accomplished is called nutrition. So nutrition is the sum of many processes which involve the different procedure of taking in the food, then utilizing the different component of food to maintain our body. If we talk about the nutrition in bacteria, like all other organisms, bacteria also need energy for their growth, for the repairing and for the maintenance of their life. Depending upon the method of nutrition, bacteria are mainly classified into two categories. They may be heterotrophic bacteria or these may be autotrophic bacteria. So we will discuss these two types in detail. First of all, heterotrophic bacteria are those bacteria which cannot synthesize their own organic compound by using simple inorganic compound like water and carbon dioxide. So I have written over here bacteria which cannot synthesize their organic compound from simple inorganic substances. They are called heterotrophic bacteria. They are unable to combine carbon dioxide and water in order to get carbohydrate, for example glucose. That is why I cross the reaction, because they are unable to carry out this chemical reaction in their bodies. Heterotrophic bacteria, they are further classified into two major categories. One is parasitic bacteria and other is saprophytic bacteria. If we talk about saprophytic bacteria, these bacteria get their nutrition from the decomposition of dead organic matter. Remember one thing, our soil is full of organic matter in the form of humus. So we should be aware about the humus. Humus is the material resulting from the partial decay of plants and animals. In fact, fungi and bacteria, they have very extensive system which produce variety of enzymes. Fungi and bacteria, they release enzyme on the humus or dead organic matter. These enzymes decompose or break down the dead organic matter into simple substances. Then these simple substances are absorbed back by bacteria and fungi. That is why I have written here, bacteria have extensive enzyme system. They break complex substances into simpler substances. Then these simpler substances are absorbed back by bacteria and fungi. If we talk about autotrophic bacteria, as their name indicates that they are capable of preparing their own food. These are the bacteria which can combine inorganic carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide and form the carbohydrate which are necessary for their lives. That is why they are known as autotrophic bacteria. So what is the definition? Those bacteria which can synthesize their organic compound from simple inorganic substances are called autotrophic bacteria. Autotrophic bacteria are further classified into two types. They may be photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria or they may be chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. What is the basic difference between photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria and chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria? If this chemical reaction is driven by the energy which comes from sunlight, then the bacteria are known as photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. And if this process is carried out by the energy and energy is obtained from the oxidation of nitrite and nitrates, then the bacteria are known as chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. If we talk about the photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria, we should keep in mind that there is a big difference between the photosynthesis which takes place in plant and the photosynthesis which takes place in bacteria. So what is the first basic difference? Plant contains chlorophyll A as well as chlorophyll B in order to absorb the sunlight and to carry out this process. Whereas bacteria contain a unique type of chlorophyll which is known as bacterial chlorophyll, which is different from the chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B found in the plants and algae. The second major difference between the photosynthesis of plant and bacteria, that plant contain chlorophyll which is present in the chloroplast, whereas the chlorophyll of bacteria is dispersed in the cytoplasm. The third major difference is that plant use water as a source of hydrogen in order to manufacture the carbohydrates, whereas bacteria utilize hydrogen sulfide as a source of hydrogen. The fourth difference, plants liberate oxygen during the process of photosynthesis, whereas bacteria liberates sulfur during the process of photosynthesis. The fifth difference is mentioned in the form of chemical reaction. As we know that the carbohydrates, they require carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. This carbon and oxygen is coming from carbon dioxide, whereas this hydrogen necessary for carbohydrate which comes from water. If we talk about bacteria, this hydrogen is being provided by hydrogen sulfide. Now there is a big question that why bacteria use hydrogen sulfide as a source of hydrogen and not water like plants and algae. So answer is very simple, because it is easy to separate hydrogen from hydrogen sulfide, because bond energy which is required to break hydrogen and sulfur bond is very low, whereas the energy required to break the bond between hydrogen and oxygen present in water, it is very high. I have mentioned here that the breakage of OH bond requires 459 kilojoule per mole, whereas the energy required to break hydrogen and sulfur bond is 363 kilojoule per mole. So it clearly indicates that it is very easy to break hydrogen sulfide bond and to get sulfur, whereas it is difficult to break oxygen hydrogen bond and to get hydrogen. That is why bacteria utilize hydrogen sulfide as a source of hydrogen and not water. If we talk about chemosynthetic bacteria, these are the bacteria which oxidize inorganic compounds like ammonia, nitrate, nitrites, sulfur or ferrous iron and trap the energy thus obtained for their synthetic reaction. I mean to say, by the oxidation of these chemicals they will get energy and they will utilize this energy to carry out this chemical reaction for the formation of carbohydrates. Now if we talk about the examples, green sulfur bacteria, purple sulfur bacteria and purple non-sulfur bacteria. These are the examples of photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. If we talk about the examples of chemosynthetic bacteria, these are ferric oxidants, T. nobles, etc. What are the examples of parasitic bacteria? It is Salmonella and many other bacteria. Similarly, the example of saprophytic bacteria are Zygomonas and many more. If we talk about the respiration in bacteria, first of all, we should be very clear about the definition of the respiration. It is the process by which living organism break down complex organic compound into simple inorganic compound in the presence or absence of oxygen and release energy which is used to carry out the activities of life. So we should keep in mind that depending upon the presence or absence of oxygen, respiration is further classified into two major categories. If respiration is carried out in the presence of oxygen, it is known as aerobic respiration, and if respiration is carried out in the absence of oxygen, then the process is known as anaerobic respiration. Depending upon the respiration, there are four major types of bacteria which may be aerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria are those bacteria which require free oxygen for their growth and respiration. Pseudomonas is the example of aerobic bacteria. The second type is anaerobic bacteria, which are those bacteria which can grow in the absence of oxygen. Spirochete is an anaerobic bacteria. The third form is facultative bacteria, which can grow either in the presence or absence of oxygen. The fourth type is known as microaerophilic bacteria. These are the bacteria which require a low concentration of oxygen for growth and are called microaerophilic bacteria, for example, Campylobacter. We should keep in mind that whether it is aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration, the process of the breakdown of glucose into pyruvate is common in both the process. So in this process, glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate, then glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate, which is converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. It splits into two compounds, dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Both of them, they contain 3 carbon atoms in them, and the previous one, all these compounds, they contain 6 carbon atoms. Dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, they are interconvertible, they are isomer of each other. That is why I have mentioned double arrow over here. In order to proceed this reaction, dihydroxyacetone phosphate is also converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, so we get 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. These 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, they are converted into 2 molecules of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Then these 2 molecules of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerates, they are converted into two molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate, then these two molecules are converted into 2-phosphoglycerate, then these two molecules are converted into phosphenol pyruvate, and phosphenol pyruvate is converted into two molecules of pyruvate. So it is a common process between the aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, and the breakdown of glucose into two molecules of pyruvate, it is known as glycolysis. Further, this pyruvate can proceed in three different directions. If this pyruvate is converted into ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide in the absence of oxygen, or it is converted into lactic acid in the absence of oxygen, it is known as anaerobic respiration. And if this pyruvate is broken down in the presence of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, then this type of respiration will be known as aerobic respiration. So pyruvate can adopt three different ways. So we will explain these three different ways in chapter number 11, which is specifically about the photosynthesis and respiration. So Allah Hafiz, we will meet in next video. Thank you, bye bye.